What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this obsession on Carl Bepke.
I'm Mike Stadler.
Mike, you're kind of a big
deal.
Yeah. Still kind of a big deal. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Man, we're doing podcasts. We got a lot of work to do today too, you know?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. Wait a second. I'll let you lift all the heavy stuff. I'll do the easy stuff. Okay, so, I sent you some information last night, and we had a short discussion earlier today. Okay, and you guys have been asking us, and there's a couple questions here, and we're going to tell you what we think about this whole layout. You guys asked us about the MSU findings on how the weather affects deer movement, because you guys know that we promote weather hunting, right? Facts. And, you asked us a few questions, basically, about the weather and the moon. And here we have a couple. What have you learned from Dr. Strickland on a daily buck home range? Daily home range of bucks studied in a radio-collared deer, 200 acres during the rut, outside of the rut, how they move, what their bedding habits, and all this other stuff. And you guys can go up, I'll connect a link to this, and you guys can go listen to this podcast. And even Strickland says that it's long, and there's a lot of information you're not going to utilize. Mike, what did you think of the podcast first? And then we're going to hit on the weather part of it, the bedding part of it, and deer movement and deer bedding all around 24/7 on this particular property. Compared to what we think.
I'll tell you this, first off, if
Yeah.
you're going to watch it, it's the most long, boring, drawn-out podcast I've ever watched in my life.
Isn't it like 100 or an hour
Hour
and
44 hour and 44 minutes. I'm just going to tell you that right there.
It is.
I don't know, what part do you want me to start on?
Okay, first let's start off on, we're going to break it down into something real simple. We're going to break it down into moon phase, we're going to break it down into bedding, and we're going to break it down into what they found for weather. Okay?
Okay.
Let's start with the moon phase part of it, which if you watch moon phase and you guys are moon phase people, you understand that Mike and I are not huge moon phase people, although we do see certain habits of deer at certain times based on full moon and no moon only.
Right.
So, what do we know? Our view on the full moon movement is if you have a full moon.
If you have a full moon, I think the deer move a lot more throughout the night.
Yep.
And I believe they bed down earlier in the morning. So
Sure.
they're down faster than their normal.
Yep.
That's what I see with the moon.
Yep.
The red moon,
It's
it's the same time every year.
Yeah. No, I know.
This is why, and it's during the peak portion of the rut.
No way.
So, my opinion,
Yep.
that's why they use it to say, oh, it's on the red moon, you gotta hunt the red moon, blah, 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 blah.
And these are our findings. That's what we found. And the findings from MSU is deer do not move any more during any moon phase than any other moon phase.
Correct.
It's crazy.
And it's only an hour, 44 minutes, so you're like, you'll never get back.
That is correct. That's the moon phase part of it.
Yep.
The bedding area movement of it. The main take that I got from their bedding area stuff, if you look at how they break it down, and they break it down into what, yards per hour, right?
Yeah, they said, this varies a little now, obviously.
That is
but
correct.
they say for the majority, and this is a buck study only. people.
Yeah.
It's a buck study only, not anything else.
Yep.
So 265 yards of movement during the day is one of their numbers, but it's a fairly average number.
Yes.
I will say, I agree with that. But I will say this: I agree with that only on unpressured deer, obviously.
Yeah, they were doing it on a hunting club, weren't they?
Yes.
So there's only a certain amount of hunters, access-wise, certain amount of property, and they did this 24/7 for
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah.
3 years. And the people that they have during the podcast, one's a mathematician, and she's straight up, nothing but facts. Here's the math on it.
Yeah.
The breakdown, just so everybody is aware, for morning average hours per hour outside of the rut, okay, they are averaging about 260 yards per hour. The pre-rut jumps up to like 340 something. The early rut jumps up to 400. And what they consider the early rut to me is still pre-rut. That's my view on it. Pre-rut to me is from, at least in the northern states, you're looking from late October through the first week of November. When they're really moving circuit and stuff.
It was 260 during the day.
Yeah.
Throughout the day.
Yeah, throughout the day. That's correct. And then their morning average hours. It looks like, because I've got the chart, they broke it down into morning and
I
evening.
saw that.
And it seems like during the rut, early rut, pre-rut, and peak rut themselves, they have more morning movement than they do evening movement.
Weird.
I know, it's crazy.
I would have never guessed that.
No way. So, things that we already know, you know.
I mean, I agree with that because obviously we see a lot of the same deer on our properties. Very little to no pressure though on our properties, which is what we talk about all the time, which is why I think you got to look at their study and know that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going into, and they talk about like some public stuff. Like you're not going into public stuff and seeing this stuff happen.
Yeah, high pressured areas, high pressured states. I would say Wisconsin, Michigan, probably Illinois.
They're doing a study on Missouri.
Yeah, Indiana, Ohio. Now their seasons are longer than ours too, and they can use any weapon down there too, which is weird in certain areas.
Right.
But that all being said, this entire study is based off of just the mathematics of collared bucks, and they come to conclusions, and they're just minor. I mean, it's stuff that we know as hunters.
I know.
I mean, and even Strickland will say that, you know. And I'm not hammering on their information because their information is their information, and I get that part of it. But it doesn't, in my opinion, help you as a hunter at all.
It doesn't like debunk anything that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I found personally that I don't think I believe, and I guess this is their facts. I mean, I believe it was where they were,
Yeah.
but they were trying to say that, you know, basically the bucks are only bedded average of around 30-ish% a day.
Yeah, I did see that.
And I have a hard time believing that.
They said at any given time in
Yeah.
a 24-hour time
Yeah,
period,
at any given time.
only 50% of the bucks are bedded
Yep.
at any hour of the day. The rest are up on their feet.
And I just don't believe that. I don't. Because from what we've seen.
And we could talk about the weather part of that, because if you're going to tell me in Wisconsin, and it may vary on where you're from, in Wisconsin, if it's 90 degrees out, deer are laying down in the darkest, coolest spot they can get to. They're not up.
You know, on the other end of that, obviously, we all know deer are up every 3 to 4 hours to feed.
Yeah.
They're up every 3 to 4 hours, yes. But only bedded on average 30% of the time, because they went from September
Yeah.
into, you know, pre-rut, full rut, post-rut, where the numbers even got less, which I would agree they're on their feet more,
Right.
you know, come rut time, obviously.
Yes.
But I just don't believe on average, because you can go out hunting and you sit there all day and you can see hundreds of yards. You know there's deer there. You know they're there.
The one thing we have to add to this is you have to realize these are what they consider mature bucks,
Yeah.
too. These aren't, you know, so these are 3.5-year-old bucks, or sorry, 2.5-year-old to, I think he said 6.5-year-old bucks.
And you sit there, like I was saying, you're not seeing deer move.
No. Even
So-
if you're on the edge of bedding.
So if they're moving, let's just make it 70-30. So if they're on their feet 70% of the time,
Yeah.
okay? If they were,
Yep.
when it comes bow season, like I'm not leaving the woods then.
Right.
Because, okay, they're going to be on their feet, so 45 minutes of every hour?
That's what
that is.
Yeah, no, I
so
get that part.
45 minutes, I mean, think about it. 45 minutes every hour, the bucks are on their feet. Okay, well, I'm not leaving then. Right. I'm just going to move.
Yeah.
Because they're going to move. But they're not.
Yeah, I don't.
But it's not on our properties.
No.
Not how we've seen.
Yeah, and our properties aren't even pressured.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And obviously theirs are not either, but we're not sitting there seeing deer because it just gets to be dead. And I'm sure you guys out there can obviously send in your comments, but how many times do we sit there in the morning and you see a few deer and all of a sudden it's just, that's it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, there's a straggler walking around.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
no,
it's quiet. And they're there.
Yeah.
They're all still there. So where are they? They're not up wandering around.
Yeah. And this is even during the pre-rut. I mean, you have times during the pre-rut and rut. I mean, we'll move stands at certain times during the pre-rut and rut on purpose because we know there is less deer movement at that time. And a different spot has probably got a higher percentage to pick up transition. So that's when we move before that particular time span. There's a lot of stuff in the podcast that can be somewhat confusing, I think, if you guys listen to it. I mean, listen to it and then let us know what your thoughts are.
They kind of start out, like, all this is going to be different.
Right.
And it kind of concludes that
everything that we know.
It's not that we know. Because they start out, I'm sure you saw that they have some of the graphs. I don't know if you have them.
Yeah, I got them. I'll put them up with the screen.
They had, it was pre-rut, peak rut, but what I know, there was 5 or 6 different, and they had it in a line graph.
Yep.
And they showed the dips and the movement and all the line graphs being basically the same.
Yeah.
From normal, like June, July, August, September.
Post-rut popular. Yeah. All of that.
They showed the movement the same on all of those lines.
Yes.
No matter what time of the year it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I know, it's definitely.
And I'm not a scientist.
No.
Not a deer biologist, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I still think I know quite a bit about it. And they were trying to say at first, they're like, the bucks move the same no matter what. The same time of year to, like they were saying the first, September and even October, their movements are the same.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
And they're not.
No, not even close.
And if there's people out there that you agree with that, cool, send it in, I want to hear it. But I think you would agree they don't.
No.
Because they kind of start out as, what days, is it true you want to take off certain days and hunt?
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, if you're hunting in our area, if there's a big weather front coming in, you want to hunt.
Yeah.
Whether you hunt the front side or the back side of it.
I mean, in our defense, we have it documented. We have footage. We have heads on the wall.
Right.
From fronts.
Yes, 100%.
Front of fronts, back of fronts. We do it almost every year.
Pretty much.
We put one down.
Yep.
At that time. So it is very proven. And it's not just deer that are moving.
No, it's animals in general.
Fronts are coming. Yeah, it's a change in their body.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time with some of it. I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than these guys, but wow, what a waste.
Yeah, it was
to me.
It seemed like the part that bothered me the most was in their conclusion at the very end.
That's what I was just going to say. I have it. I screenshot it.
Go ahead, put it down. Write it down.
So,
and we'll put it on. We'll put it on here so you guys can see it.
So,
this is the conclusion.
Yeah, I would say watch the podcast but this is it in conclusion. So, first, bucks are most active 2 hours after legal shooting begins and 1 hour after legal shooting ends.
Shocker.
Weird.
Yeah.
Which is why we always say when you're out in the morning, we want to sit till 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yep.
Don't get out at 9 o'clock. We always say that.
Yeah,
and obviously the deer are moving late.
Yeah.
But you can't hunt. And they even say that. Well, we're really missing out on the best movement. Well, it's dark.
Yeah.
So you can't hunt.
Yeah.
We already know that.
Yep.
Next one. Bucks are more active in low temperatures.
Shocker. If you had a fur coat on, it was 90 degrees, you wouldn't want to be moving around a lot either.
Okay.
Yeah. But that one right there should tell you immediately. If you have a front coming in, you guys, if there's a front coming in, you got a 20 degree temperature drop, you should be in the woods.
And here's the next one.
Yeah.
Bucks are choosing to bed down earlier and leave their bed earlier in low temperatures.
Again, shocker.
If you're watching, this is my surprise face. And the last one, activity changes are more dramatic as the rut changes, and weather types do have an impact.
Well, there's a mic drop. Yes. So they said right there that weather does impact the deer movement.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the podcast, they'll show some information that kind of contradicts that statement.
Well, I'll say it does its job because you first start watching it, I started getting mad.
Yeah.
Like when they first start talking, I'm like, okay, like I get that you guys are very smart, you're deer biologists, scientists, but I'm like, this is ridiculous, and a lot of it's circles.
Yes.
It's circles, and then at the end,
the conclusions
it's
are
the same.
What we
is
all
what I think. We obviously know. I'm pretty sure everybody out there that watches us knows.
Yeah.
And hunts very similar.
Right.
I mean.
Yeah. So our conclusion on the MSU podcast for that is epic fail. I mean, the information is somewhat interesting, but at points it circles around on everything, contradicts itself multiple times, and to break down all the information, I don't know if some of you might be more into the mathematical side of things. I mean, the information that's graphed and showing on there is nothing that we don't already know.
Right. And I mean, obviously for a lot of our subscribers, listeners, viewers, you're not hunting some perfect manicured property where you can even do this kind of stuff. A lot of us are public land hunters where a lot of this stuff that they're watching doesn't apply.
No, and they in their credit, they say that.
They do say that. Yeah. But that's if you got enough to tune in the whole time.
Right. Yeah. If you can find the spots where it switches from, and they break it down, but where it switches from certain aspects to other aspects, the relevant information is probably like the first 4 minutes of the discussion and the last 4 minutes of the discussion. The 20 to 30 minutes in between is complete and utter debate.
Yeah, really it is.
Yeah.
And you can debate it. We can all debate it forever, but the main conclusion is we talk about fronts.
Yep.
We hunt them all the time. I know you guys out there have success with them. So we know that. We know how we feel on the move.
Yep. You guys have seen our documented stuff. You hear us preach about it all the time. And we answer as many questions as you guys want to answer, so feel free to pop them in here. And we will answer all the questions that answers we have for moon phase, weather, and everything that we can show works.
In conclusion, I think you should just tune into the Obsession podcast. I've heard that that's a really good podcast.
They seem to shoot a few.
And I'm telling you, these guys are smart.
Seem to be pretty quick.
Smart. Yeah, smart.
You're going to use the word smart. Depressing.
Smart.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening to us babble about what other people are babbling about. Mike's still a pretty big deal.
None of those people in that podcast had one of those. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's a fact. Oh, well, you guys can laugh about that one right there. But if you guys want to check out just the podcast, you can check us out on any outlets. We're on all of them. Be sure to check out our Facebook page.
Yeah, Blue Collar Bucks. Start getting a little more active than that here. Carl and I haven't put a lot on it here lately. It's just kind of been going, but we're getting to that point of the season where we're going to start showing a bunch of stuff. Obviously, some hunting is going to start here for some people.
40-some days here.
I'll be here hunting, so hopefully I can have some good stuff to put on there then. But so yeah, Blue Collar Bucks. It's every day, men and women, kids, guys, girls out there doing it. Doing it their way, doing it normal. No bashing, or I will throw you out. Be proud of what you're out there doing. Be proud of the animal.
100%. If you guys want to check out small property layouts, they come out every Wednesday at 7 a.m. When we got footage on stuff. We're doing a lot of projects here in our properties, so we will show you guys what we have going on. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, buddy.